All right, Ghosts and Ghouls. Today we are joined by the great Michael Leavy. Sir, thank you so much for coming on. It is a great honor to have you. So, for the people who's been under a rock, man, go ahead and introduce yourself and what you do.
Sure. First of all, I'd like to say, Montavious, thank you so much for having me on. We tried to link up a few times and finally excited and really happy that we're able to make it work today. Honored to be here on the show and to get to know your fans and, just to talk a little bit about what's going on. So I'm Michael Leavy, and I am a producer on Terrifier 2. I was in the original Terrifier film as Will the Exterminator. Was also the director of Abnormal Attraction, a fun little fantasy comedy film with Malcolm McDowell, Gilbert Gottfried, Bruce Davison, Tyler Mane, Leslie Easterbrook. And I am also the director and one of the producers of upcoming horror film Stream.
Nice, man. Again, awesome to have you here. So let's kind of just dive in. So how did Michael Leavy get his start in film? Like, how did all this come about?
Yeah, so as a kid, I was very fascinated, really at a young age. I could really as far back as I could remember. Everyone says, what was the pinnacle moment of me wanting to get into filmmaking? And I really can't pinpoint that moment because it was that early on in my life. It's kind of like I came out of the womb wanting to make movies. And I remember specifically, though, taking my mom's camcorder that she used to, the JVC, the big one that you throw on your shoulder, that she would do home videos and stuff. And I remember taking that and trying to come up with fun little vignettes and little short films and movies and stuff and shoot them with my brothers and then eventually the neighborhood kids. From there, I went to high school and I ran my high school television studio, WFBN TV. And we started doing more skits and I started getting teachers involved in the different student body and started to learn how to work with, really adults and, people not my age and people that might not have been interested in film, but, through, I guess, my passion became interested in the whole process. And then went to college and I got a degree in television, film, and minored in business. And that's where I really says, this is something that I definitely want to start doing. So to answer your question in a more concise way is I just did it. I wanted to do it and just decided I'm going to do it.
Nice. Now was this, I know your brother is involved in you guys are like a duo. So, I mean, was that kind of the same experience for your brother as well? You guys just one day just picked up your mom's camcorder and was like, you know what, let's do this.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, he was my younger brother. So at the time he might've just been following my footsteps. It's like, hey, let's do this. But then he ended up getting a passion for it just as much as I did. And we really have been inseparable ever since. We've been making films together, myself, my brother Jason, and also our business partner, Steve Della Sala. The three of us have been doing movies for a long time. I've known Steve since I was in grammar school. And, I went to high school and college with him, and not really on purpose. It just kind of worked out that way. And he was always interested in pictures and photography, whereas I was a little bit more of the film aspect. And then we ended up realizing there's a lot of similarities, and that's why he does a lot of my DP work, which is funny enough nowadays. And then we partnered up. We became producing partners, the three of us. And it worked out because he also got a degree in finance and marketing. So it all kind of came together.
Nice. Now, so Fuzz on the Lens. Now, where did the name come from? And I know it's you, your brother, and Steve. So it was just, you got sat down and was like, you know what, we got something here. Let's create our own production company. So walk me through the name and how it all came to be.
Yeah. So when we left, we were shooting really feature length films pretty much. They weren't very good, but in high school. And, it was 2-hour movies. We were most people were not doing that. And we were doing that at the time and really trying to understand pacing and editing. And, I couldn't understand as a kid, how did they edit this? I didn't understand. And obviously computers were kind of new and not everybody had them. So I remember typing on my grandmother's typewriter the credits and then putting them on a paper towel roll and filming the paper towel roll and pulling it so they would roll and they would scroll. So that was my first, kind of learning how to edit. But to answer your question, where the name came about was, like I said, we were shooting feature films and we were kind of learning that whole process. And then we started entering film festivals and things like that. And when it came time, we said, we can't just say it, Mike, Jay, and Steve. It's hard to remember all those names. So we said, we need to come up with an umbrella of who we are. And it took a long time. We didn't really know what the name would be. We were trying different things. But what was interesting was we kept going back to a moment that actually happened in high school where we were filming this movie called Rock Hard. It was a comedy film. And in one of the scenes, our friend, who's now an accountant, who actually, he's the one who named the company in a sense. He was filming a scene and he kept saying, "Oh, there's a fuzz in the lens. There's a fuzz in the lens." And we were so silly that we didn't cut the camera. So we have this still to this day, all on tape with us like morons blowing into the camera. We're trying to clean it, couldn't figure it out for like a half hour. We're burning tape. We look like a bunch of morons. And then we realize it's not a fuzz on the lens. It's a smudge on the viewfinder. And it's on the other side of the camera. So it became an ongoing joke for like every project there forward. We were saying, make sure you check for that fuzz on the lens. Oh, there's a fuzz on the lens. And we get people to look. And then finally, when it came time to, hey, what are we going to name each other? It just kept going back to that. Hey, why don't we call ourselves Fuzz on the Lens Productions? It had meaning to the three of us. We were all a part of that project. It was kind of like an inside joke, and it just made sense. And also, it's memorable. You know what I mean? Not only for us as a memory, but when you hear Fuzz on the Lens, it's unique, it's different. And I think it kind of encapsulates who we are. So, we're fun.
Sure.
We don't take ourselves too seriously, but we like to create, really fun films, whether they're horror, comedy, anything in between. So that's really how it all started.
Nice. Now, with that being said, I know you guys had gained some national spotlight for, I think it was like 2014, you guys did the Clown or Staten Island Clown, and you actually had Stephen King, kind of tweet you guys. So how was that moment when people started like gravitating to Fuzz on the Lens due to this prank?
Yeah, it was really something else. It's funny that idea kind of came about. We were actually at Buffalo Wild Wings, and myself and my brother were sitting there. We had maybe a couple too many drinks, and we started saying the narrative in society, and at that time, right, we would have thought it got worse, but we were like, the narrative is so down. Everything is about suicides and drugs and politics and. Why don't we do this social experiment, this little prank, and try to see if we can change the narrative of what everyone's talking about? And, our plan was over the next couple of months, we were going to do this. And then eventually we'll be the lucky ones to get an interview or get a video of the clown, right? This is what we were thinking. And, maybe it'll give us some attention. Never were going to really reveal that it was us doing this prank, this social experiment, this kind of real life movie experience. And it was 3 days that this thing popped and exploded. And it was like, holy, I didn't realize what the term viral meant until that happened. And everyone got interested. Everyone was talking. It became national news. And it was in a paper in Milan, Italy. And it was like the headline someone sent to me was like, US goes crazy with clowns. And it really became something, quite amazing. And, it was the first time. Second time was obviously Terrifier, where Stephen King found out who we were and tweeted about us. But that was really a surreal moment because Stephen King was a huge influence as a kid and loved Stephen King's It, the original miniseries. Tim Curry was a big reason why I love horror. And so that was a surreal moment. But it was at that time that I realized, holy shit, like we really can get our names out there and make a splash. And from that moment, we ended up raising some eyebrows, and we ended up getting funding for our first project, which was Abnormal Attraction. And we ended up finding some investors through that exposure, and the rest is history.
Nice. Now, kind of walk me through how, obviously Terrifier is a sensation, myself included. I'm a huge fan, of your guys' work. So kind of walk me through, how you became Will the Exterminator on the first Terrifier.
Yeah, so we were shooting Abnormal Attraction, and a buddy of ours, a mutual buddy of all of ours at the time, but before we knew each other, was this guy Jason Milstein, and he had said, I have this producer, director, filmmaker friend that is just getting into the business, just starting out. He was a Wall Street guy. And he's making his first movie called Joe's War. Would you mind if I bring him down to your set to see your operation? And I just think it's a good connection. Knowing you and knowing him, it seems like there would, be a good fit. We met Phil Falcone, who's the executive producer, Damien's partner, Terrifier, right? Came down to the set. and he really was impressed with how we built our monster camp for Abnormal Attraction. We had used foam insulation to spray on buildings and paint them as vines. He really liked the ingenuity of what we were doing, and he realized we were a very small crew and we were just getting it done. So he invited us to be a part of Joe's War and to help him finish that film out. And we helped work with him on that. Tom Sizemore, it was really amazing. And it was Phil's son, Joe, who actually started pitching Terrifier to me and started saying, my dad is getting into this horror film. He doesn't really like horror stuff. He doesn't know too much about it. But he just linked up with this director, Damien Leone, and he goes, do you know him? He's a Staten Island guy. I said, no. I said, which is weird because Staten Island is such a small community, and he didn't really know of us. We didn't know of him. Beyond, he knew of the Staten Island Clown, actually. We found that out later, which kind of was interesting, that whole thing where, Art the Clown, Staten Island Clown and all that. But he was like, yeah, he's making this thing. Have you ever heard of Art the Clown? And I said, no. And I'm a huge horror guy. I said, I haven't. He goes, yeah. And he starts talking about Night Circle, and Terrifier, the short film, All Hallows Eve. He starts talking about all that. I said, no. So I looked into it, and I said, wow, he's got something with this clown right here, this face. There's something about it that is really captivating. And I said, I hope they don't screw this up. That was my first thing to that. And he says, yeah. He goes, Phil then says, yeah, maybe I can get you guys on that and you guys can be crew or whatever. And then eventually that happened. We ended up coming on board, as crew and stuff. And then they were looking to fill some roles. And Phil was like, well, Mike acts and Jay acts and Steve acts. So Damien was like, yeah, let's just send me a tape, send me something. So we sent him in something and he liked what we had done. And initially, me and Steve were cast as the cops at the end of the film that come in.
Okay, yep.
And then about a week or two later, Damien calls me and he goes, hey man, I got another role for you. We're going to add another kill scene to the film. This exterminator, Will the Exterminator, goes, would you be interested? And my response was, if you're in a horror movie and you don't die, you're really in a horror movie. So I said, yeah, I'm interested. And he kept saying, the thing is though, I guess the twist is, or whatever, is that the catch is that you're going to die and not make the sequel. So I was like, okay, that's fine. So that's how I ended up getting Will. And then I got Jason the other role because I said, if you liked my acting, you want something similar. Jason has similar acting style to me where he can get, that emotion and be big. And so Damien says, yeah, great. It's his. So that's how the three of us got the roles beyond, obviously the crew kind of stuff. And then from being on set with Terrifier, we just got really close. And then Damien had come and seen Abnormal Attraction. And then, as time went on, we just became like family, like brothers. I mean, at this point, we're all inseparable. And it just happened, very organic. I mean, you've hung out with us and, we've been away together and stuff. And you see how, we all are. And it's just naturally kind of happened that way. Exactly. I feel like I've known them. At this point, it's been, like almost 10 years, but I feel like I've known them my whole life. And, so we hit it off, and that's really how it all started. And then when Terrifier 2 started up, we said we want to kind of get involved even more. And that's when we jumped on board as producers, and our production company got more involved as just, instead of just minor crew stuff. And, the rest just kind of took off from there. And hey, if I wasn't going to be able to be in the film, I had to make sure I was a part of it some way.
True, man. I don't blame you there. So, just briefly, I wanted to talk about, just the overall success, the Terrifier franchise has had. This has really captivated, the world by storm. So how does it feel that people want to kind of emulate or follow the footprints that you guys laid down as a foundation for their own projects?
Very surreal. The way, to us, we're still, same guys that are just trying to entertain and make good films. And, Damien will be the first one to tell you it's bizarre, and I'm not going to say I'm surprised at it because I know the work that everyone had put in. I know the work Damien put in. I know the work we put in, and Phil and George and Steve and everyone, Jackie, I can go down the list, all of everybody, and obviously the actors. So I'm not surprised that it's liked and it's successful. I'm just still blown away at how big it went. You know what I mean? Like how fast and big it went, because, we talk about films that we love, Nightmare on Elm Street and Halloween and all of these great iconic horror films, and they're putting art into that category, and that's just mind blowing, because it took years for that to happen for them. And for us, it's like to insert, we almost feel like we're not there yet, but we're inspiring filmmakers and people just like we were inspired, and fans like we were, to get into this. So that is so cool. And I hope that Terrifier 2 blew the floodgates open for independent filmmakers, because there's so many talented people out there. It is so hard. I could tell you firsthand to get anything out there, noticed, exposure, any of that stuff. So for this thing to pop and for people to like start taking notice to independent work and to filmmakers, I just hope it continues that way and really opens the doors for everyone. Because right now they're more creative than studio films. There's no regurgitation there. So I really would like to see where that can go.
Yes, sir. No, I'm right there with you. I mean, I think just like, you guys really did lay the groundwork for a lot of people, and it inspired so many. So, very kudos to you, Fuzz on the Lens, your brother, everybody involved. So Scream, let's get into it. I know you guys were working on this, right after you guys wrapped for Terrifier 2. So without giving too much away, what can us horror fans look forward to with Scream?
It's going to be a fun ride. I can tell you that. It's a very, very fun film. It's got similarities to Terrifier just in certain ways, because Damien did the effects. It's the same exact crew. Like you said, right when we wrapped Terrifier 2, we went right into Scream. For the most part, it's the same exact crew. But I also want fans to know this is not Terrifier. This is a totally different story. This is meant to be taken on its own. We have our own killers and we have our own unique style and look, but there are, like I said, similar through lines with some of the gore and some of the things that Damien does. It's just not Art the Clown, and that's one thing I want people to know. But I think it's going to be something that can really launch a franchise, another type of horror franchise. It's got that old school 80s, 70s feel that we love, but it's also got a lot of modern, clashes, because it's a modern tale. It's a modernization of slasher. We utilize technology a lot. In Nightmare on Elm Street, they exploited your dreams, and Jaws, they exploited a day at the beach, and Halloween, it was the neighborhood babysitting. So Camp Crystal Lake, Jason was Camp Crystal Lake, right? So it was like, how do you exploit a safe space that everyone can kind of relate to? And what is that going on now? Stream, it's technology, it's internet, it's cell phones, it's computers. Is the government listening to me? Can I be heard? Am I being followed and watched? So that's really what we wanted to exploit a lot. And then we felt that we were able to make a slasher film in that vein. It's got a great cast: Jeffrey Combs, Danielle Harris, Dee Wallace, Tony Todd, Tim Reed, Daniel Roebuck, who plays Grandpa Munster in the new Rob Zombie Munsters, Terry Kaiser from Weekend at Bernie's. We have an incredible Felissa Rose, Dave Sheridan, John plays John, Bob Adrian, who plays character named John. He's from The Conjuring, the old man. So we have a really amazing cast, and there's some people I'm not even mentioning that are part that we're going to surprise you with. And I really had a great time working on it. But what I'm most proud about is, as wonderful as our cast is, David Howard Thornton's in it too, the movie doesn't rely on the cast. A lot of times horror films, if you're trying to do this ensemble thing, it's like that's the selling point. And although that's great that we have that, to me, that's the cherry on top. I love the performances from, some of the unknowns that hopefully will be known soon, but I really love the story. And I think that the concept overall is something that got me excited about this whole thing. And I think that we can really, as hopefully sequels come along, can really exploit that. And like I said, I just want people to have a good time and enjoy the ride. It's a fun movie. It really is. It's a fun movie.
I mean, just talking to you guys briefly about it, a few times. I mean, it sounds like this is something that is definitely going to be on the horizon to be that next big thing. So, I mean, what is it like? Also, again, I don't want to take too much of your time, but how did Stream even come about? Like, where did the idea come from, and where do you see this going after the first movie? I know you said a sequel. Like, do you see this being that 3, 4, 5, 6 movies?
Yeah. It's funny, it came about in 2016. We were working on another film, and just got inspired. It was actually before Terrifier. It was like right before we even shot Terrifier, the idea came about. Obviously, over the years, it kind of grew and molded and changed. But, that initial concept was we were away, we were shooting another film, and the idea just kind of popped in there. And then the way we work is then we start like riffing, like we start saying like, imagine if this happens, imagine if that happens. And then, and then this, and then we started getting into it. And this was the first script, and it hasn't happened since, where it was written the first draft in 2 weeks. It kind of just flew and flowed right out. Like it was easy. For some reason, the story was just going, and, it just felt right. And to answer your second part of the question is, yeah, I do see this. This has a lot of potential to be a franchise that goes multiple sequels. And the reason for that is the one big thing that happens in horror. And look, I'm not complaining. I love, Michael Myers, Halloween, number 13. Like, I keep going. Like, you keep bringing, listen, as horror fans, right, we always complain. But at the same token, we always love it, because it's what we love. The horror fans are the most opinionated group of fans that I've ever met. They dissect and they go into it, right? So they're always complaining, but yet they love it. If you're not making it, they're unhappy too. So it's funny, and I'm right in with that. So what I love about this concept is it's harder, and I could put my foot in my mouth on this, but I believe it's harder to get stale as fast. Because with the Halloweens and the Freddys and all of this, that you have this one character, which we love, but then eventually it's like, where do you go from here? And that's why a lot of these horror films get so bizarre and so crazy, because they jump the shark, because it's just, it's hard to do something new. And that's why the remakes and the reboots and the reimaginings all start coming into play, because you can only do something so much. To where it still feels like you're just adding to the franchise. What I like about Stream is because it's not one specific Michael Myers or Freddy Krueger or Arthur Clown, whatever. There's multiple killers, so you can go on multiple different journeys. And the hook of our film isn't the one killer like a lot of these other films are. The hook is the concept. The hook is that this thing, I don't want to give too much away, whatever's going on, can go on in other locations. It doesn't just have to be in this first one. It's a hotel with whatever's going on is happening in a hotel. This can happen in multiple different locations with multiple different characters and families and problems. That's your hook, is just the idea. It's the game. It's that. And then everything else is kind of gravy around it, and it's hard to kind of pitter patter around your question. We'll have to talk about this when the film's out, and then I can go more into detail of what I'm talking about. But that's what I love about Stream. And there's also room for that. If again, we love our fans. We're very engaged with our fan base. You can see that from the Terrifier movies. We listen to our fans. So, we love hearing the positives and the negatives and what you responded to and what's like, oh, that was really cool here. You should do more of that. And then we take it into consideration. So there's always room too for a Michael Myers to emerge. And I already have thoughts on how that could happen. So we have a sequel that's ready to go pretty much, a whole treatment, a plot point where it is. And we even have a third if we are lucky enough to get to that. So we have a trilogy mapped out, and then which is really cool. And then we have branch offs as well if we are fortunate enough.
Nice, man. So it sounds like, man, you guys got the map right now. You got everything worked out, man. So I have nothing but faith in this new franchise, man, and I can't wait. So when can we expect this to be on, a theatrical release? Hopefully, fingers crossed, you guys get that. So when can we expect this film?
It should be fall of this year. So in a few months, we're finishing up. Our Indiegogo campaign is ending or ended. It's very close. I think we were ending it on the 4th of July, and then like 3 other fans came in and said they want to put something in. So, and then you have to like go through Indiegogo to like end it. So it's ending very shortly. So it hasn't actually officially shut down yet. So you can still sneak in if anybody wants to be a part of what we're doing. But it is, we're closing this out because we kept it open for fans to be a part of this, to say, hey, I don't want people to say they missed out. I really don't. It happened with Terrifier, and we felt really bad. It was like, we had a quick window because we were going right into production, and I didn't know about this. So we really went to the final hour here where it's open for anybody that wants to, but once the credits are locked in and typed, then that's it. That's really what we were holding open for, so anybody can have their name a part of this. Because as a horror fan, I would have loved to say, hey, wouldn't you have loved to be a part of Halloween when it first started, or Nightmare? So that's why we did that for the fans. And obviously it helps us out because we have some marketing things we want to do. COVID kicked our butts in the budget world that we did not expect. So a lot of that money ended up going towards, safety and all those things, which rightfully so, but no one planned for that. So we had lost a lot of post stuff that we were looking to do, which is why we even started the Indiegogo campaign to begin with. So anyway, so that's ending, that's ending soon. And, I don't think I answered your question at all. I can't really remember what the beginning of it was. But that's where it's lying right now. And we do have it mapped out, and we're really, really excited to where it's gonna go for sure. And like I said, we have a lot of things coming up with this, and then Terrifier 3, and then hopefully Stream 2, and then obviously some other projects that we're looking to get off the ground.
Nice, man. Okay, awesome. So, just in closing, so for any advice out there for any, first time filmmakers, first time, people trying to get into production, like any advice you can give those people to, kind of give them a word of encouragement, if you will.
Just do it. It's the old Nike slogan. It's so true. It's very cliche, and it's not great advice, I guess. And like, it's no magic key or no magic words that's going to, get you there. It's just do it. It's work hard, be true to yourself, and just keep going. You're going to get a lot of no's. You're going to get a lot of ups and downs. You're going to get a lot of questioning, and that's all good stuff. That kind of just makes you stronger, and you keep going. But if you just keep doing it, you just never stop, you just keep creating, you'll get there. And at the same token, find like-minded people that you can surround yourself with is huge. It's hard to do it alone. It really is. And if you have one or two people to encourage and to lean on and to discuss, that helps too, because not everything stays bottled up. You're able to kind of express and feel better about that. If you're in a relationship, find someone who supports you, because it's a tough business for sure. So make sure that you find someone that is behind you 100%. And I got lucky with that, with my wife, and, and communication is key because it's a tough, tricky business. And then networking is huge. And I know that's another cliche, but, don't say no, say yes to every opportunity you can, especially when you're starting off, because you never know where they're going to go. You never know where they're going to lead. And do the events, go to the things, even if you're tired. Like the conventions are great. You meet wonderful filmmakers, you meet great actors, go to film festivals, and any kind of networking event, I highly suggest, because that's where you meet those like-minded people. A lot of times people try to strive too high and, try to buddy with Brad Pitt. It's just hard to do. It's because, nobody wants to let you in their little inner circle because it's hard to trust people, right? And also, what are you bringing to them? Yes, you got your ideas maybe, and you might be amazing, but what are you in the immediate that they don't see? What are you bringing? So if you find someone a step above you or a step below you, you can kind of grow together and keep going up those rungs. So that's really my best advice I could give.
There you go, man. And I'm pretty sure people are going to appreciate that. So, Mr. Leavy, social media handles where, all the fans, if they're not already connected to you there, what are your social media handles where people can, see what you're up to and just kind of, just see what the life of Michael Leavy is?
Yeah, so mostly you can follow Fuzz on the Lens across the board everywhere, and you'll find me. My personal ones are at Leavis Island on Instagram, at Leave16 on Twitter, and Michael Leavy on Facebook. I really should make them all one thing, so it's easier to say. But that's where you could find me. Fuzz on the Lens is really the easiest and the quickest, and then you could pinpoint from there. And then also at Stream Franchise, that's where you can follow everything all stream related.
Awesome. Well, Mr. Leavy, thank you so much. I appreciate your time, man. It was awesome talking to you. Hopefully, I'll run into you here in the near future, man. So many blessings to you. And thank you for your time again.
Thank you so much, Montavious. It's been great. Glad we were able to make it happen.
Yes, sir. Have a great day, man.
See you, buddy.